Hi guys, it's Angela here, and today I'm going to be talking about relationships. You know, everyone talks about relationships, there's channels about relationships, and just everything in general is about relationships as of lately. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I've been seeing a lot of content in the red pill content sphere, like, oh, don't text first, or oh, don't double text, it'll make you look really desperate. And I feel like that is so shallow in general, because what do you mean by, oh, you can't text first if you don't want to come off as desperate? I mean, isn't that just initiating things in general? I feel like we as people have gotten too uncomfortable with, looking with initiating things first. It's really ridiculous. And then there's these content creators that tend to like use these metrics to judge people. Like, oh, that girl's a 5, or oh, that girl's a 7. Maybe you should date people within your league, blah, 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 blah. Or, oh, only girls only want attention, and guys, they only want sex, they're all fuck boys. Is that what you guys really want? Like, is that who you really want to be? Because I feel like we're slowly becoming people that we hate. The very thing that we resented, we're becoming that thing. Like, what's happening? So we all hate the people that play mind games, psychological games on us. But what are we doing when we're watching these videos? Like, we don't want to play games, but our actions say otherwise. Like, oh, I want a provider. I want a provider to give me princess treatment. I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, but that's just not how relationships work. If you actually want a relationship, you shouldn't be looking for princess treatment. You shouldn't be looking for a man to give you princess treatment, okay? Like, if you want princess treatment, give it to yourself first, because no one will, okay? Nothing comes for free. Everything has a price. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. So do it. Like, literally. Don't go looking for a man. And I feel like a lot of people use relationships to cope with the discontentment they feel towards themselves. Like, they think, oh, relationships are a means to live a happy life. No, it's not. No, it's not. Say, even if you do get the happy Disneyland scenario where you marry your Prince Charming or whatever, you're still gonna be discontent. You're still gonna be discontent, or there's gonna be, themes of dependence where you rely on a man and it'll lead towards more discontentment, or you will be avoidant because you want to be single again. You want to have your peace. It's just so ridiculous. We're all chasing these things that we don't even want. We don't even know what a healthy relationship looks like, yet we're so desperate to, live a good life. And another thing that I want to talk about is people tend to guard their heart like their life depends on it. Like, they don't want to get their heart broken again, probably because of a breakup they experienced from the past. You have no idea how much a breakup can actually alter, the way you see things. It can shatter your perception of love. I believe that there was a time where we all once believed in that good old fairy tale of love or whatever. But I want to talk about how some people frame these people or roses as irreplaceable, because I actually have a really different perspective on things. Like, to frame these roses as irreplaceable would mean dismissing the other roses that exist. Like, there's a saying called smell the roses, not just smell the rose. I believe that life in general has its ups and downs, and it's full of roses and thorns. So yeah, you might lose that rose that you deemed to be really special and valuable. And while there may be truth in that statement, you're just like, you're putting yourself in a position where you're framing yourself as a victim, and it hinders your growth. It hinders you from actually finding the one that makes you feel whole. Does that make sense? Like, if we keep focusing on the past, if we keep reading the previous chapters, we won't be able to move on with the next chapter of our lives, because we all have these narratives, these beliefs, these old philosophies that keep us stuck in the old narrative. So it's one thing to talk about the past, release all the tension, the hatred, and a lot of jealousy or whatever. But it's another thing to heal and release all the pain that you've accumulated from the past. Because whether we like it or not, life goes on. And ultimately, it's up to us to choose if we want to move on. Now, I see a lot of female influencers. They like to talk about, how to be a high-value woman or how to marry a rich man. Take the Wizard Liz, for example. Her whole content essentially revolved around manifestation, becoming your own person, or becoming the best version of yourself, stop being lazy. And yeah, she did manifest a man. She did manifest Landon. Landon gave her everything she ever wanted, princess treatment, Birkin, money. That's all she ever preached to want in her videos. If you watch a single video of hers, you already know what kind of person she is. And, saying that she's transactional would be an understatement. In a lot of her videos, she preaches to, you have to be with men for your money. If they don't have any money, you can't be with them. Don't date broke guys. And, on the surface, Landon seemed to be a rich guy. Landon gave her $10,000 just to speak to her. But what the Wizard Liz failed to teach her audience about relationships is relationships are not built on transactions. If you look at her point of view on relationships, it's really transactional. You provide something, you provide your beauty, you provide status for the man while the man gives you money. I just feel like it diminishes the beauty of relationships because I personally believe that relationships are built on mutual respect, mutual interest, and being there for a partner when adversity arises. But no, the Wizard Liz doesn't teach any of that. It's just, be a high-value woman. What are you doing? Why are you so lazy? You're hindering yourself from becoming the best version of yourself. It's you against yourself. And I think there's a lot of good points made in her videos, but it's just really reductive, It's not true. And there was a point in her time where we really believed that she had it all. She had the perfect relationship. She presented a really nice image. She presented the highlight reels on Instagram, and everything seemed so perfect. How could anything even go wrong for her? And I feel like that's where pride comes in. Pride means showing a version of yourself while withholding the other parts. In relationships, we tend to believe that if we show the really vulnerable parts of ourselves, the other person will leave, or if we crack or whatever, the person will hate us and think we're weak. But I don't think that's how things work. I think that, mistakes or vulnerability actually binds two people closer together. And I feel like we as a society keep thinking, it's really bad to be vulnerable. We have to, not wear our heart on our sleeves because people will take advantage of that. And there's truth in that statement. But if we let pride to hinder us from experiencing the beauty of relationships, the authenticity of relationships, then there really isn't a point in getting into a relationship. Because at the end of the day, you're just presenting a version of yourself that you want your partner to see rather than your true self. Your whole incompleteness, your incompetence, your ugliness, they're all beauty. Like, your partner is there for a reason. Another thing that the Wizard Liz fails to communicate to her audience is that you are what you look for in a relationship. If you adopt a transactional mindset into relationships, you will get a transactional partner. You are what you attract. That's the law of attraction, right? And yeah, on the surface, everything seemed right. Everything was perfect. Everything was picture perfect. The Instagram reels, the photos, the videos, everything just seemed so perfect. She got everything she ever wanted. She got the Birkins. She got everything. Yet something didn't feel right. If you watch her streams, she talks about how something felt off. There were red flags that she couldn't see. And that's the thing about transactions, They're just transactions. There's no emotions or romance attached to transactions. They're just transactions. You make them, you do the thing, You can do everything right, but something still feels off because there's no emotions. There's just nothing. It's all a game of manipulation and trying to pull your heartstrings. And I think we have subconsciously associated princess treatment as love. So if everyone says, oh, princess treatment is the best treatment, and if you're seeing princess treatment but something feels off, it doesn't matter because society thinks, it's correct, everything's right. He buys you flowers, he buys you everything. It's right. Simple as that. But no, that's just the contrary of the truth. That's not how relationships work. So when the public's opinion starts to affect our mental health or the way we see things, I think it's important to take a step back and just pause. Pause. You should reevaluate if this is really for you and slow down with your judgments. Everyone wants to be a player. Everyone wants to win against the odds. Maybe it's the deep, primitive human desire to be special. But the truth is, none of us are special. You're not special. I'm not special. We are not special. Perhaps we are much more mediocre or common than we think. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, if you choose to play games when it comes to looking for a relationship, you're going to attract another person that looks to play games. And when that happens, you have no one to blame for because you, yourself, were the one playing games. You have to take accountability and you can't do anything about it. You have to take accountability. It's your life, it's your choice. You chose to play the game. So it's either up to us to choose the hard way or go back to square one. We can always take the easy route, It's really easy. It's right in front of us. There's millions of content creators talking about it. But at the end of the day, it's up to us. Who knew that idiots coping with not being content with themselves don't work out? It's the sheer irony.